You have been heard loud and clear, my friends. 2 weeks without an episode of Hermitcraft. Now, I got some angry comments. Assumer, it's been 2 weeks, this is unacceptable. And maybe I think, well, that's not very nice. I mean, hey, I'm just making the videos, but really, it just shows how much you love the series. And I love making these videos, and I've been feeling it too. I've been feeling these 2 weeks between, well, not this episode, but the last one and the one before that. And I actually don't know when this episode is going to get finished either, really, because all of the plans are being kind of put on hold, basically, for 1.14, and then it gets released, and it's rather unstable and not suitable for us to play on the Hermitcraft server. So I kind of winded down on all my projects and got things neatly wrapped up, ready to update, and you know what? You make plans, and they always get changed. There's like a life lesson there, right? Anyway, back here in the Nether hub, I'm yet to actually build my own little tunnel, but I've been discussing with the other hermits and figuring out where exactly the world border is. So if we just press F3, we are facing east. That direction is north, and I thought the x-coordinate would just point north because it's the first one. The x-coordinate, the number going upwards, the first one on the left-hand side of your screen there, although it's not, because I learned it's the other way around, right? The x-coordinate goes up when you head east, so I was totally mistaken. I had to do some research, figure out where exactly the world border is, and it turns out it's in this direction, east. And that means it's in my tunnel, so I've got to take more care of this. I call it my tunnel, it's everyone's tunnel. Now, this has to go a very long direction that way now in order for us to get to the area where the world border is. That's going to be the preserved terrain for 1.14, and we're all talking about how we're going to get there. So I've decided to shrink this design down. You can see the roof is now just going to be birch blocks coming down to this level, and we're going to go with very clean and simple walls. We're not going to add depth because this thing needs to be repeated over and over again. What we will do though is include this every 15 blocks. We're going to have a little bit of glowstone for lighting, just like we did it over here. So this is the Season 6 map as it currently stands. You can see Grian's base, Mumbo's, mine is over here. This is the main island, and we've got the HRN in the middle. So north of that is Concorp Studios, and south of it is part of the shopping area. Tower Bay's down here. This might make sense looking at it from above like this, or it might not. But anyway, the x-coordinate going upwards is actually going east over to the side. So I thought this thing had been configured for the world border to be north, but if we keep heading over here, you'll see this is the mining mesa. If we zoom in, you can kind of see where some of the materials have been stripped out and lots of stone has been left behind, and then you can see massive patches of the desert that have been mined out as well from up above. We've actually spread out really far here, mining all of that sand. But as we go further to the right, you'll see there's this hard border all of a sudden, and that is where the world border is. And someone has come and explored this and walked up and down the side of it. So it's over here on this side where there is ungenerated terrain. That is where we're going to go to enjoy the features of 1.14. So I'm sure you don't want to see me working on a Nether tunnel all episode, right? And I don't want to be working on it either, which is why I've got an idea, a project for this episode related to 1.14. This is super cool, by the way. Look at that. We're going to get to this project real soon, but I do want to do a bit more work. And as you can see, I've actually built quite a large section here. It goes over the top of a big open area, so if we just stick our head up through here, we can actually see just how much of that I've built. Took me about an hour and a half to do all of that, so that gives me a rough idea of how much I need to put into doing the rest of this tunnel. So what we'll need to do is figure out where the tunnel ends, right, where the 1.14 area starts, and so we're going to go put a portal in somewhere up ahead and figure that out. What we will actually do is be smart and go put the portal directly next to the world border, because when 1.14 arrives, this is going to disappear, and this will make a great launch site to fly off into the distance and explore the area. Have we ever been to the world border together, by the way? I'm not sure if we have or not. Back there in that direction is the mining mesa. It's behind that savanna biome. So it's quite a ways over here as well. It's quite a ways back. We are now hooked up here in the Nether. This is 750 blocks out. So knowing that number, I can go back and calculate the total distance. So the distance we need to cover is 430 blocks, and just this little section I did from here to where it stops is 110 blocks. So we're looking at doing this about 4 times over, which would be probably around 6 to 8 hours, and then we've got to consider that need to gather materials as well, so I think it's actually quite doable. It just takes a little bit of grinding. I have been unable to get on the server and do any of that grinding, so I just went and plopped myself over here at the pigman farm, and we got 420 levels of XP. There's also a magma cube stalking me, but it can't get down here. And I decided to grab my sword and hold on to it because the looting effect, I believe, would then be applied to all of the pigment. And the reason I'm actually here is to get some gold because we needed it for the tunnel. I have probably got more than enough gold, but I think I'm just going to continue standing here for as long as I can. 500 levels of XP, that's right. That might be my personal best. I can't actually remember what the most we've done in the past was. I think in like Season 2 we did 1000 XP once, but anyway, you're probably wondering how much gold does that get you? All of that time spent up there collecting XP. This much. That is a crazy amount of gold right there. I'll actually leave probably most of this for Impulse, take a little bit for myself, and then donate the rest to the project for building the tunnels, because that's where these are most needed. Hey, we can fly in here. That's good. So I got a message from False saying that the tunnel needed to be bigger so that we could fly through it, and she's totally right. These tunnels need to be flown through because they go the furthest away, right? But as you're seeing here, it's not really too difficult to take off in this small space at all. And then I can turn around over here and I can fly back through again. You probably have to watch out for the trapdoors on the side. That's probably the one shortcoming. If you're kind of cruising against the wall, you're going to smack into that. So maybe that needs a design change. But right as I'm starting to rip this out and rebuild it again so we can fly through here, I figured best to do a test, and that's probably saved me hours and hours of digging and rebuilding, because I was going to make this thing wider, as you can see right here. So we'll put the brakes on that then. So I think we're done with this for this episode. I will be working during my live streams on this tunnel project. Twitch.tv/xisuma. Be sure to follow me over there. I post videos when I go live on this channel. I post tweets as well. And anyway, you can see what I've done so far, and I'm just going to be continuing this grind over there at the various times that I do stream. Right now, though, I think we need to do something different in this episode, because it's just been about the tunnel so far, hasn't it? Alright, so there is a project I plan on doing in 1.14, and that is opening up a Wither Rose shop, which I will probably do with Python actually, since we are kind of flower buddies here on the server with our flower shop. And so this was probably quite obvious to a lot of you based on the comments. Some of you knew exactly what I was going to be doing, and Poultryman came through and delivered and dropped off some eggs into this chest, as well as some that I've got of my own. So what we'll be doing is throwing these eggs into a wither that will be locked in a cage down the bottom here, and then when it kills the chicken entity, it will drop a Wither Rose, which I want to pick up in some hoppers. So I want to replace this obsidian with hoppers, and I figured, well, while we're waiting, why don't we do some testing and make sure that this actually works. Alright then, I'm in a single player world. I've just created this and brought myself over to the end dimension, killed the ender dragon, cleared out the space below it, and then put in the obsidian the same way it's done on Hermitcraft. Now this block right here is the center block. There's a 2-block gap between that and the center of the end portal up above. So this is actually like a guideline for where you should place the soul sand. These 3 blocks aren't actually necessary, I believe. It's just the one in the middle. But because we're trying to collect items, I think it makes sense to go like this. And so we would be wise to remember that we need to place the soul sand in the center going out to the sides like this, which might be problematic for other players. Anyway, let's summon this wither, and it should remain locked in that cage. And down go the game sounds, because the wither is hideously loud. Okay, that's been taken care of, and it's doing damage to itself. That's something we've got to remember, actually. It's kind of important, because it will die after a certain amount of time. Now, what we're going to do is throw these things into the middle, and you saw that little chicken took damage. It needs to actually stay in the area long enough for them to get killed. Right, there's far more to this than I thought. Okay then, this is hugely problematic because I had kind of assumed the chickens would be taking damage at the bottom of where the Wither is, but its explosions are happening further up. So this might be possible if we break some of these portal blocks, which is a thing. But what's quite disheartening is that you can't place any blocks in this region, not even obsidian. They get broken. My idea was perhaps that we could lock the chickens into this top area. So this is going to be way more difficult than I thought. There are other places with bedrock in the world, including this dimension. Problem is, it goes straight through the portal. Oh dear. Well, okay, I didn't actually expect that to work. Let's roll this back a step. Okay, we had an end gateway block right there. And now we need a water bucket in here. So this old trick worked with the central portal. You'd have a dispenser facing downwards, put water in it, power it, and it would remove the block. It actually works on this type of block as well. That is so silly. Obviously that's a bug, but we are totally going to exploit it. Right. Okay, that's kind of more like it. Now we've got projectiles going out in all sorts of directions. These are the projectiles that can blow up obsidian though, right? I'm pretty sure I just saw it blow up a block. Yeah, that's really not good. That's really not good enough. Okay, then what about a piston? And then we push it upwards. It might be that we could just actually make the Wither at that block there anyway. I still think it's going to shoot out those projectiles. And because there's gaps right here, it's probably going to break them. So what if this here works? And then we push it up again? Or maybe I should have tried it with a fence post there. It's just dropped back down. That's the same as it was before. Now it's half a block higher, but I'm guessing... Well, let's not guess. Let's see what happens. Okay, that's a little bit different. You're not shooting at anything. Why is that? Oh. Okay, so here I can give it a target, something to shoot at. But it seems like on occasion what it's going to do is then fire out one of the ones that break the obsidian. Obviously we don't want those going rogue in the Nether, so maybe if I can adjust its height again, it won't actually do that. That's actually caused it to drop down. We're getting close. This is definitely the funniest part of this video now. As you can see, I have kind of created a cage around it, which seems to be working as long as we can give the Wither a target to shoot at. Now the reason that we're using water here is so that we can keep the check-ins and the items they drop suppressed in this area above where the hoppers are. And the hoppers aren't getting destroyed, and chances are we might not need to build this entire thing here out of obsidian. But here's the funny bit, okay? I'm getting no Wither roses. Would you like to know why? It took me a moment to figure it out. I'm on 1.13.2. Oh, because I'm playing in my Hermitcraft client. I just went into a single player world and completely forgot. Okay, this thing escaped, so it didn't have any chickens to attack for a while, and it was able to break the obsidian, but also the fence post below it, which is really, really worrying, because I was looking at it and thinking, okay, after we've killed all of our chickens, how are we going to kill the Wither? And I wasn't quite sure, and then it escaped. So here is a different approach. If we can keep a chicken on this block and hopefully it doesn't decide to fall down below, which I don't think its pathfinding will, we can then keep blocks in this area and have them killed like this. So I think the final test for me now is to put hoppers here, and they seem to survive. So then we would just have to get the chickens into this area here now that the Wither is distracted, and then the hoppers will pick up the Wither roses, right? Except the Wither is kind of looking downwards. Is it looking at those chickens that I've added that also aren't dying when they're inside of the hopper? So maybe we need carpet on top of them. We are now in 1.14.1, and I did a quick check with this type of portal block, and the one that appears where the bedrock is, we can still remove that with a dispenser and water. And then I've just been working on getting this Wither targeted on an entity, and I've actually got 4 chickens up here. I probably only need 1, but I felt safer with a group of them. So they sit up here on these blocks. They're in minecarts, so they can't escape. And the Wither will just continuously do this. However, a moment ago, I saw the Wither target some other chickens in this area and then break the blocks around it. And that was when I was putting hoppers down here and trying to get chickens underneath it to be killed and give us the wither rows. So now I've resorted to putting them above and on the side, and that seems far more reliable. However, we run into an entirely different problem now, which is when dispensing the eggs, the baby chickens that you'll see right here don't drop wither roses. So all of those just died, and when I open up the hopper here, not a single wither rose. It is time to make a long story short. I was getting pulled in all sorts of different directions, missing out on some fundamentals. So over here we have a design where we could dispense eggs down above this hopper and then have it fill up with wither roses and other drops. Problem is, the chicken needs to be directly attacked by the projectile that comes out from the wither, and I've been experimenting with getting this at the right spot. There you go, look, we just got one on camera. So I'm yet to figure out how to get the projectile on a path where it will hit our chickens, be targeting at the ones at the back but miss them at the same time, which is rather important. I also got led astray from thinking that baby chickens didn't drop the wither rows. This has been tested, and if they are hit with the projectile, they too will also drop the wither rows. So we can go straight from eggs into a killing chamber, and that will essentially look like this. Water streams, hoppers to pick up the items, and then dispensers to get chickens in the area. Now the baby chickens might be able to escape through this gap, and this gap also needs to be very particular because, as you can see, the projectiles need to come through here but never actually hit the chickens at the other end. And I changed something a second ago. I think I made this 3 blocks wide, and since then I'm yet to see the chickens at the back die, but it could happen at any moment really, and we want something that's going to be absolutely solid because we definitely need to keep this wither locked on the targets at the back. A little bit of proof of concept here. We got a wither rose, but that was after 4 or 5 kills, and for some reason the rates seem a little less reliable here. I've got a feeling the items are being destroyed by the explosion at the same time, which is kind of concerning. I really thought this was going to be a very simple concept and something rather easy to exploit, but now that it requires the projectile to hit the entity in question, and that not even yielding a drop every time, this has become quite complicated and time consuming. And so I'm going to pass this on to you, the community, if you want to get involved in this idea. Best way to reach me as always is on Twitter, and I know some of you will be itching to send me some designs and suggestions and stuff, so in the description box down below is the link to my Twitter if you want to get involved. So back to our Nether tunnel project. This end here hasn't really been tied up, but everything behind me has indeed been done, and look at how long this tunnel is. It is absolutely crazy. I'm speeding up my flying speed and we are still whooshing past all of these. Oh my goodness me, it goes on, doesn't it? Crazy. And there I am, hanging out on the server, and we can talk about what we're going to do next. You can see I've started on a little something here. So what I've done here is I've tried to recreate some of the shapes from inside the base over on this side. But the area is so small, it's kind of cramped in here and it loses its charm. So I think what I might want to do here is simplify things a little bit and just have a singular spike coming out of the ground on either side. Now I was planning on putting some glass down the bottom and getting the dark feel going on, but if we just look at the lighting here, everything's quite bright. So I think we might bring that darkness to the ceiling instead of this sandstone. I'm trying to stay true to what we've done on the other side, but the reality is it's just not quite feeling right in here. So this bright roof just, I don't know, I don't feel it. So let's give a shot with some dark blocks in here. I'm probably going to grab some black wool and use that for the ceiling. Now this is much better. You can see we just scaled it down to one of these. The height is just kind of perfect coming off the top here with the black and just being half a block below it, and that's pretty much all that we need. Now when it comes to the light in this area, it's actually quite bright, so I moved the glowstone up there. I believe that means that mobs won't be able to spawn on these few blocks, but we'll keep our eye out for that. It is the Nether actually, so they can spawn on brighter amounts. Yeah, actually that probably won't prevent it at all. Anyway, we need to move this portal back by 1 block, and I'm also realizing that the portal is emitting a lot of light as well, so the illusion might be broken a little bit, but I think by the time we finish placing all of the black blocks, this is going to look a lot better. So here it is, mirrored on the side, and this platform has been mirrored on the back over there, so I was thinking, rather than mirror this wall, we need a different material, because that really breaks the immersion going through that way. So I thought, why not dark prismarine? And then we've got the 3 different prismarines in here, which really represents the base. Just one more block is required now, and that is a trapdoor. I'm not actually going to put a light above it, but just so it mirrors the other side. There you go, and the portal was actually raised up a block. It was 3 by 3, it's now 3 by 4. That's got a real nice view to it when you look from over here. The view isn't quite the same the other way, but I think that has turned out really, really well. So we are waiting on 1.14.1, and given the state of the pre-release at the time of recording this video, I don't think it's likely that that's going to come out within a week, maybe 2 weeks at the soonest. Soonest? Did I just make up a word? So I don't know what this means for my current Hermitcraft schedule, but I will start to think about doing projects that don't rely on 1.14 and get into the groove of things, because it looks like the wait might still be on. Anyway, that's the end of the episode. Hope you've enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did. As always, thanks for the support. I'll see you soon in another one. Bye bye.